D.
Well everybody, we've done it. We've made it to the halfway point. I've now watched and reviewed half of the entire TNA vs WWE Monday Night War. Thanks for sticking by me and supporting me through this series. I hope you're still enjoying it. If you really enjoy it, make sure you hit the subscribe button to show me how much you like it. Okay, so it's March 29th, 2010. This is episode 5. We're going to start out with TNA first this week, so let's do it. The show opens with a recap of Jeff Jarrett and Foley feuding with Bischoff, and Foley was kayfabe fired last week after losing to Jarrett. Foley wasn't actually fired and would turn back up in TNA later on. TNA just couldn't afford him at the time. Jarrett is hanging out in Hogan's office and Hogan apologises for how Eric Bischoff's been treating Jarrett lately. Hogan then gives him a number 1 contendership match if he can beat AJ Styles tonight. Hogan says this is due to the fan support for Jarrett recently. He said he was also proud of how professionally Jarrett's handled the Bischoff feud. Well, if you count smashing your boss over the head with a guitar as professional, so be it. Jay Lethal then barges into the office doing his Macho Man impression. We haven't really seen Lethal in this series. Lethal offers to team up with Hogan tonight to recreate the Mega Powers. I don't understand what this is leading to, it wasn't really explained. They then announce that Tara will take on Daphne in a First Blood match tonight for the first time ever. The band's music then hits, and the first person who appears is Bubba the Love Sponge. Well, this is going to be another bad episode. The crowd start to chant Fire Bubba. He's accompanied to the ring by Pac, Nash and the one who looks like Elvis. Bubba gets on the mic and says he doesn't need this job, and then he runs down Jeremy Borash. Bubba's trying to hide his broken nose for being smacked out legitimately by Mick Foley last week. Bubba then starts to make fun of Eric Young and hands the mic to Nash. Nash then calls out Eric Young as he wants to apologise for turning on him last week during the tag match at the pay-per-view. Nash says that Young is his friend, and the attack was not personal, and he had to do it so his friends could get a job in the company by winning at the pay-per-view. Nash then offers Eric Young the chance to join the band. Young is supposed to be teaming with Hardy and RVD tonight in a 6-man tag match against the band. Nash tells Young to throw one up and join the band, but Young decides to attack Nash instead. All 3 members of the band get some punches in, and then RVD and Jeff Hardy run out to make the save, and the band bail. I just can't understand why TNA decided to make that fat tub of lard Bubba the Love Sponge the mouthpiece of the band. Paul and Nash are more than capable of speaking on the microphone, they don't need help from this moron. Hardy says the 6-man tag match tonight will be in a cage. Hardy then starts awkwardly singing his theme tune, and the band look confused. First match of the night and Douglas Williams comes out. He'll be teaming with Brian Kendrick, but he doesn't look too happy about this. Williams retained his X Division title over Jeff Hardy's stoner friend at the pay-per-view. After the match, he cut a promo running down all the high flyers. Out comes Jeff Hardy's friend, and he's teaming with Kazarian tonight, who won the number 1 contendership for the X Division title at the pay-per-view. Kazarian with a couple of close falls early on Douglas Williams before he tags in Kendrick, who then also gets beaten down by Kazarian. I'm glad Kazarian is the number 1 contender, as he's very over with the fans here. Williams then starts slowing down the pace of the match. Then he does that move that Madison Rayne used to do. I preferred it when Madison Rayne did it, to be honest. There's a mid-ring collision. This gives Kaz the chance to tag in Jeff Hardy's stoner friend. He's a house on fire and he takes out Kendrick and Williams, but then he hits a top rope Hurricanrana for a close 2. He then hits a lovely double team with his tag team partner Kazarian on Kendrick, which almost takes him out, but they're unable to get the 3 count. Moore then hits some sort of move on Brian Kendrick and gets the 3. Not a bad match, but seriously TNA, why are you still pushing Jeff Hardy's stoner friend? It's Kazarian who's the number 1 contender. Jeff Hardy's stoner friend then puts makeup all over Kendrick's face, just like Williams did to him at the pay-per-view. Williams just walks away because nobody cares about Brian Kendrick and it doesn't really affect him what he's doing. Backstage, Eric Bischoff is on the phone saying that someone's ribbing him and tells them to have fun in New York. He's also sniffing something that looks like a large pen. I don't know, you tell me what it is. Miss Tessmacher then makes her first TNA appearance as Bischoff's assistant. Eric warns her that he needs to guard his door tonight. Can't he just hire some security? Lethal then barges in and tells Eric he needs to be the 3rd member of the Mega Powers. It's completely stupid. Lethal has written down a card of matches to take place tonight, including loads of 80s wrestler. But Eric tells him to stop wasting time and leave the office, and come up with a sensible main event. Bischoff then tells Miss Tessmacher to fetch beer money for him. Let's check out Raw. Okay, so it's the first Raw since WrestleMania. This one's usually a good show and draws in the viewers. This show is being built as Shawn Michaels' goodbye, as he lost to The Undertaker at Mania and has to retire due to the loss. Batista comes out first. He lost the WWE title to Cena and he comes out looking annoyed. He gets on the mic and says that Cena's win was a complete fluke. The crowd get on his back and start chanting "You tapped out." Batista says he wants a rematch and this brings out Big Match John. The champ is here and the little kids go mental. Cena looks awfully cocky here considering just a week earlier he admitted he was scared of Batista. A huge Cena sucks chant starts and Cena has to wait for them to shut up. Cena eventually agrees to a rematch tonight. Oh dear, that's going to be some main event. TNA's going to be in trouble here with this going on. Oh, Then Batista says the rematch won't be happening tonight and sucker punches Cena. Jack Swagger then appears out of nowhere and lays Cena out with the Money in the Bank briefcase that he won at the pay-per-view. He grabs a mic and says he's cashing in right now. What a stuttering idiot. Cena then fights back and Swagger bails from the ring saying he's changed his mind and he's not cashing in, and then he runs away. Cena looks to be a marked man tonight. They will be showing parts of Shawn Michaels' career all throughout the night, and they start off by showing the Rockers. A bunch of WWE legends then come out to the ring led by Ted DiBiase. Then Rowdy Roddy Piper comes out with even more legends. King then gets up from the commentary booth to join them. The special guest hosts then come out. I can't say I've ever heard of them or seen their film. Something about a hot tub. The crowd boo, and the two guys come across as complete goons. They make a main event of Batista and Jack Swagger versus Cena and a mystery partner. They also say tonight that there will be a special hot tub match. These two idiots versus the WWE Divas. They then start healing on the crowd and say that the girls won't want the fans in the hot tub with them. While looking at these two, I doubt the girls would want them in the hot tub either. It's a Legends Lumberjack match now. Christian Captain Charisma comes out. He's taking on Ted DiBiase Jr., who lost in a triple threat match at WrestleMania to Orton. This is a weird match. It's like they just wanted to get the legends on TV. Ted DiBiase Jr. is pretty much on a warpath and hits a nice clothesline and follows it up with a kick to the head. Christian then hits a top rope dropkick for a close 2. He goes for it again but gets jerked off the top. Christian then hits a nice reverse elbow from the top. He tries to get the Umbrella on Ted DiBiase but he reverses it. Both men end up on the outside. The legends then all start fighting amongst themselves and DiBiase Jr. is distracted. Christian manages to hit the Umbrella for the 3. Wow, Ted DiBiase Jr. is really fading over the course of these shows. He looked like he was on the cusp of being a main eventer at the start. It's all gone downhill since Elimination Chamber. Ted then pushes his dad and walks off in a huff. Let's switch back to Impact. Back on TNA, the Pope D'Angelo De Niro comes out. The Pope is the #1 contender for the world title and will take on AJ Styles at the pay-per-view. Didn't Hogan just say that Jarrett would be the #1 contender if he beat Styles tonight? Pope won a tournament to become the #1 contender. Pope says Ric Flair was a boy 50 years ago and it's time for him to grow up. He says that AJ has been dodging him and he's scared. Great promo by the Pope. This guy is so charismatic and should have done more in wrestling. The crowd love him. The crowd are on their feet chanting Pope is pimping. Chelsea then comes out. She's been pushing Ric Flair's wheelchair in recent weeks and also is the manager of Desmond Wolfe. A Chelsea chant starts in the crowd. Pope looks quite smitten with her. Chelsea flirts with him and says she wants to be a hoe for the evening. Chelsea asks if he's got a gun in his pocket and Pope says he's happy to see her. Desmond Wolfe tries to sneak attack him but Pope sees it coming. Then Pope steals a kiss from Chelsea and puts some money in her bra. And then it's, oh my god, it's Samoa Joe. Oh, he looks like he's having a painful bowel movement in the lavatory. He says something about they have spoken. We haven't seen Joe in the Monday Night Wars yet. Oh, he's gone. Bye Joe, thanks for coming. Oh god, now, oh no, it's Orlando Jordan. I don't know what to say. Taz says he doesn't get it. I don't often agree with Taz. A door then opens and there's 2 people sat there. Oh, it's Santana Garrett. Then it ends. Good. Borash is backstage with Tara. Daphne has pet-napped her pet tarantula Poison and Tara hates her. Tara says Daphne will pay tonight. Daphne then attacks her. Tara starts slamming Daphne's head into a fence. The match is now official and it's underway. They start brawling on top of the announcers table. Daphne then whips her into a wall and then chokes her out with a cable and drags her towards the ring. Daphne pulls out a broomstick, it looks like it suits her. Daphne then snaps it in half and tries to murder Tara with the spike. Tara is able to reverse it luckily, no one was killed on TV this time. Tara then hits the Widow's Peak out of nowhere. How did Daphne not reverse it? She'd been beating Tara up all match, nothing had happened to her. Tara then bangs Daphne overhead with a toolbox, and this is enough to open up Daphne and Tara wins the match as she makes Daphne bleed. This is the smallest amount of blood I've ever seen anyone bleed. Not a very good match, I'm afraid. Styles is coming to the ring next and he's accompanied by Ric Flair in his pushchair and Chelsea. Let's see what Raw's up to. Back on Raw, they're showing the breakup of the Rockers. Triple H is bouncing along backstage next. The 2 hot tub goons are in dressing gowns backstage and then Santino walks past with a CD player above his head. This was never explained. The Divas are in the hot tub and said whoever can stay in the hot tub the longest gets the Divas title match. Triple H comes out to the ring next. He beat Sheamus at WrestleMania, however he's looking a bit down in the dumps tonight because he's saying goodbye to his best friend Shawn Michaels. He reminisces for a while and then he pretends to start crying. He then says he needs to tell Shawn something important that he's never told him before. And just before he can say it, Sheamus comes out and sneak attacks him with a pipe. I don't think Sheamus liked Triple H's promo either. The Divas then come out and they're just all thrown together in another 3-minute match. It's completely pointless. This is just terrible. Can we please give them something to do? This feels like it happens every week. No, it actually does. Oh, and Vicky Guerrero's with them again. She won the match for the team at WrestleMania by hitting the Divas with her belly. It was a terrible 0-star match. Maurice starts out the match by posing and then Eve Torres just rolls her up for the free. What on earth was that? That was the worst match I've seen out of all of them. They've all been bad. They then all start fighting. Look, you cannot argue on any level that the TNA knockouts were not better than the Divas at this point. No offence, but it's not even up for debate. The knockouts were better at this point. They then replay parts of Shawn Michaels' ladder match against a wrestler who looks like Elvis. It was a great match and I'm going to have to go back and watch this again. Bret Hart is backstage, great, not him again. He had an awful match against Vince McMahon at WrestleMania. They then show a reclap of Shawn Michaels' first world title win. Bret then comes out to cut a promo. I think I'm going to fall asleep. Bret says that Shawn was one of the best wrestlers he's ever faced. Bret then says he's finally got his own closure from beating Vince McMahon at WrestleMania. Then there's a huge Owen Hart chant and Bret shows off his t-shirt. Bret says he's done and goes to leave, but then the Unified Tag Team Champions Show Miz come out. This is random. Miz is also the US champion. Miz starts making fun of Bret for needing support from 25 other wrestlers to beat Vince. He does have a fair point. Miz says he's sick of seeing the amount of TV time that Bret Hart's taking up and calls Bret Hart and his whole family overrated. The Hart Dynasty then come out to protect him as it looks like Bret Hart's going to get his sunglasses handed to him. Then this leads to a tag match. The Hart Dynasty are all over Show Miz early on and Tyson Kidd is elevated over the top rope with a lovely dive. Big Show then gets tagged in and starts dominating. Show Miz with a nice double team knee for a close 2 count. Miz keeps mocking Bret Hart throughout the match. They manage to isolate Tyson Kidd for a while, but Miz makes a mistake and David Hart Smith tags in and he's a house on fire before beating down the Miz. Hart Dynasty then get a lovely double team in on the Miz. Tyson then puts the sharpshooter on the Miz, but Big Show drags Miz out of the ring and they both bail and get counted out of the match. Let's switch back to TNA and see what's going on there. Back on TNA, they recap Jarrett and Bischoff again. We get it, okay? Enough is enough. Nobody wants to see this. The amount of time this rubbish has taken up on this series is ridiculous. Bischoff has had more TV time than any single wrestler on this show. Want to know why the fans didn't support TNA during the Monday Night Wars? It's because of this WCW-esque rubbish. Get him off my screen now. Jarrett comes out and he's got his ring music back. Looks like he's no longer in the doghouse. AJ Styles comes out and has Flair and Chelsea with him. This match could be good, to be fair. Styles is on top early on and he's playing some mind games. Ric Flair loves AJ's confidence. Jarrett eventually gets on top and clotheslines AJ to the outside. Jarrett then starts strutting around the ring and Flair looks livid. Jarrett then hits an enziguri for a close 2 count. Styles then starts working on Jarrett's legs and locks on the figure 4. Flair tries to assist, but the ref spots it quickly. AJ then misses out on an enziguri of his own, and then Jarrett locks on his own figure 4. The ref then gets annoyed with Flair's shenanigans and sends him to the back. Security then take him away. Hey look, it's Gunner and Murphy. AJ is too distracted and Jarrett hits a massive throw on AJ back into the ring. AJ then clearly gets back on top of the match with a knee drop. This is probably the slowest style I've seen AJ work since being a heel. It seems to be working, the crowd are firmly in Jarrett's corner. Jarrett then eventually fights out of the submission and hits a big back body drop and follows it up with a suplex. Jarrett then hits the pedigree on AJ Styles. Has Jarrett ever done that move before or was that a shot at WWE? Tell me what you think in the comments section down below. Styles then goes high flying for the first time in the match with a beautiful springboard clothesline for the 2. AJ then sets up the Styles Clash, but Jarrett reverses it into the Alabama Slam. Both men are down and looking spent. This match has gone on a long time for a TV match. Oh look, Ric Flair's back. He then distracts referee Brian Hebner. AJ then knocks the referee down and that looked brutal. Back in the ring, Jarrett hits the stroke from the middle rope and AJ is clearly out, but there's no referee. Bischoff then appears again, for God's sake. He tries to hit Jarrett with the guitar, but he blocks it. This gives AJ the chance to low blow Jarrett, and then he follows it up with a Styles Clash for good measure. The referee is then rolled into the ring by Eric Bischoff, and the referee counts 3. I don't know what to say, it was a really good match, but Eric Bischoff, yet again, why is he the main focal point of this entire show? Hogan told him to leave Jarrett alone. Just get lost, Bischoff, I don't want to see you on my screen tonight. I'm so close to stopping this review, but I do have to do it for you guys. I just can't stand having my time wasted by this man. I actually mean it, I'm sick of seeing his smarmy face. How is it that Eric Bischoff gets more TV time than Hulk Hogan? If this wasn't such a good long TV match, I'd be more annoyed. Backstage it's Eric, not Bischoff but Young. He thanks Jeff Hardy and RVD for saving him earlier on. Young says Nash is in the business for the wrong reasons. RVD says that he's got Eric Young's back tonight. Eric just looks like such a heel here and he stands out like a sore thumb. Says they're going to win the main event tonight. Elsewhere backstage, Jay Lethal is sat down talking about Brutus the Barber beefcake. And up walks... I'm going to lose it. What the hell is wrong with TNA? Are they complete morons? I can't do this anymore. Apparently Eric has just put Jay Lethal in a handicap match against Beer Money. Once again, Beer Money are Eric Bischoff's lackeys. I'm going to just speak on this a moment while this match is happening and Beer Money beat this guy down. Look, is Eric Bischoff going to be the world champion? Is he going to be the main event at a pay-per-view? Is he who the fans want to see? If you answered no to all three of those questions, you would be correct. If TNA had given this Bischoff time to anyone else, they might have created a star. Oh, by the way, Lethal rolls up Robert Roode for the 3 and then Bischoff is shown sulking backstage. Right, that's it. I'm going to go back and tell you at the end of this how many minutes in total Bischoff was on the screen tonight. Put in the comments section down below how many you think it'll be. I swear you need to take a drink every time he's on the screen. You would end up paralytic. You'd end up in hospital having your stomach pumped. That's how I spent my childhood. I think we need to create a drinking game on this channel. Drink every time this guy's on TV. Taz says next week you'll hear from Matt Morgan after he sent his tag team partner Hernandez to hospital. I don't care anymore. I'm sorry, but I'm not into this show anymore. The Pope D'Angelo De Niro then comes out to try and cheer me up. It seems he's taking on Desmond Wolfe tonight. If any of you have watched my Desmond Wolfe video, this is around the time where Desmond was thrown to the Wolves, to pardon the pun. He's now a loser who has his manager make out with other guys. He lost constant matches to the Pope and Abyss around this time, and he no longer gets any mic time. Wolfe tries to beat up the Pope here, but he seems to be more distracted by Chelsea on the outside. Pope eventually fights back with a Lou Thez press and open hand pimp slaps Wolfe. Pope then hits a lovely elbow in the corner and the fans love him. Chelsea then distracts the ref and Wolfe pulls out a steel chain and hits Pope and he pins him for the 3. Wow, didn't expect that. Maybe there's some hope for Wolfe after all. We all know there's no hope for Desmond Wolfe. What strange booking though, the number 1 contender for the world title loses in a 5-minute match to a man who I'm pretty sure doesn't even have a match on the pay-per-view. Whatever. The cage is then lowered around the ring and Kurt Angle stomps out to the ring looking miserable. I'm not sure what he's up to here. Angle beat Anderson on the pay-per-view, but Anderson cut a promo after the match saying the feud wasn't over. Angle cuts a pretty simple promo here. He agrees the feud isn't over and challenges Angle to a cage match at Lockdown. What a match that'll turn out to be. Anderson then comes out and says the two are completely even. He says Eric Bischoff made a match for them on Impact and it'll be a ladder match next week with the key hanging from the top for the Lockdown cage. This feud's great. This is how you should book a feud that doesn't involve a title. A proper blood feud. Let's check out Raw. Back on Raw, they are replaying all the key moments of Shawn Michaels and DX, and unfortunately the later years of DX where they had reformed and were hanging around with Hornswoggle and dumping green slime on people. Up next, Swagger and Batista are going to take on John Cena and a mystery partner. Back in the hot tub, the Divas are looking bored. The goons suggest getting sexual and this causes the future Taryn Terrell and Rosa to leave. Then a guy comes on the TV, I don't know his name, and he tells the Bella twins that they are the winners. Then Mark Henry walks up in his bathing suit and jumps in the hot tub with them. The goons look very awkward and scared. Suddenly Hornswoggle emerges from the hot tub with goggles. Don't you just love Hornswoggle comedy? This show feels quite flat, not a lot of wrestling on this show, and it looks like it's all about HBK this week. Next, the Money in the Bank winner Jack Swagger is the first out and gets on the mic to gloat about his win at WrestleMania. He looks like he's going to eat that briefcase. The Animal Batista comes out and doesn't look too happy to be here. Cena then comes out and gets on the mic and says his mystery partner tonight is an old friend of Batista's. And then out comes Randall Keith Orton. Batista doesn't want to face Cena at the start of the match and tags Swagger in. Swagger's getting battered early on, so he rolls out of the ring. Swagger eventually gets the advantage over Cena and hits a backdrop and follows it up with a nice splash. Batista's now happy to tag in with Cena at a disadvantage. Batista takes Cena out of a spinebuster and then tries to go for the Batista bomb, but Cena reverses it. Orton then gets tagged in and he's house on fire, taking everybody out. Batista spears Cena and then Randy Orton hits an RKO on both Batista and Swagger to pick up the 3. It really does look like Orton's losing run is certainly over. Kind of a boring match, it needed more time. Quite a weak show for wrestling this week. Looks like all the time is going to be spent on HBK's retirement speech. Let's switch back to the Eric Bischoff show. Back on TNA, Kurt Angle is still slowly leaving the ring. What's wrong with him? Does he have problems with his legs or something? The band's music then hits, and as Nash passes Angle on the ramp, they throw it up in what was a cool flashback to the main event Mafia. Kurt Angle then ignores the one who looks like Elvis. How disrespectful is that? Eric Young, RVD and Jeff Hardy come out and they're all hugs and happiness before the match. Eric Young charges at the door like an idiot, so X-Pac slams it in his face. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, EY. The band beat down the good guys on the outside of the ring whilst Nash fights Jeff Hardy on the inside. Six-Pack then gets in the cage and chains the door shut whilst Eric Young is still on the outside, creating a handicap situation inside the cage. It doesn't seem like it matters too much though, as RVD and Hardy do a good job fighting back. The two do have a similar style. Hardy and RVD are on top and then EY decides to climb the cage. The timing doesn't even make sense because his teammates are on top without him. The band are all down and then Hardy and RVD hit stereo swanton bomb and frog splashes. It's a lovely move. Eric Young then dives from the top of the cage with an elbow drop on Six-Pack and pins him for the 3. Not a bad little match there, too short, but the band didn't embarrass themselves or anything. They didn't really have to do too much. I wanted to see Scott Hall do a bit more. Talking of the one who looks like Elvis, this was the last time he would ever main event at TNA Impact, and his wrestling career was unfortunately on life support at this point. So that's the main event done, but the show's not over, folks, because backstage the idiot Abyss has chosen to bless us with an appearance. He says he's chosen his first partner for his team at Lockdown. I'd forgive you for getting this match was even happening, it's not been mentioned all night. He says his first pick for his team is Jeff Jarrett. Jarrett then comes onto the mic and says that he's chosen Team Abyss because he now trusts Hogan. That doesn't even make sense. Earlier tonight he was screwed out of a world title shot by Hulk Hogan's business partner Eric Bischoff. So what about Hulk Hogan do you trust? He's let you be bullied and abused on TV for months, and also last week he made you compete in a loser leaves TNA match. This doesn't make any sense. Speaking of leaving, let's catch the last part of Raw to see HBK going. This is obviously quite an emotional moment for HBK and I'm not going to be able to do it justice, but Shawn teases speaking for a few minutes but just soaks in the crowd's atmosphere. Then the Undertaker's gong sound hits and he makes his way to the ring to say goodbye to HBK by tipping his cap. Shawn is in tears and people in the crowd are bawling. It's not the happiest of moments. Shawn continues to thank the fans for supporting him throughout his career. Shawn said he's not going to change his mind and said he'll honour his word that he's now retired. He thanks Bret Hart and apologises for all the stuff he put him through, and he also thanks Vince for keeping him on track during the 90s. He of course thanks God for his career. He leaves the mic in the middle of the ring and walks off. Triple H comes out to meet him on the ramp and they hug right before the end of the show. And that's a wrap, folks, that's it for the week. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on the two shows. TNA first. I thought it was terrible. I wanted to pull my eyes out with pliers and shove them. I felt physically sick. And the numbers are in. Eric Bischoff was on TNA TV for just shy of 10 minutes this week. 10 minutes, that is insanity. Even when he wasn't on TV, wrestlers were cutting promos about him. TNA treats Bischoff like he's The Rock. The wrestling on TNA was just fine. And Jarrett vs Styles was actually pretty good. But everything in between was a shambles. Bubba the Love Sponge trying to act tough. I've no idea what Orlando Jordan was all about, and the Pope is jobbing when he's supposed to be the #1 contender for the world title. I don't know where this is going. TNA has no direction. And why are the band main eventing Impact? It feels like TNA is getting progressively worse as this Monday Night War goes along. The only proper feud is Angle vs Anderson, and they didn't get much TV time this week. Hogan only made one brief appearance at the start of the show, but it seemed like his buddy Eric Bischoff took all Hogan's normal TV time. Raw was kinda bad too. Not much wrestling and goofy comedy with Hornswoggle and the Hot Tub Guys. I suppose this show was mainly all about HBK, so they weren't really going to look at doing too much else with it. There just wasn't that much to say about Raw, lots of recaps about HBK. I'd say TNA was the more interesting show this week, but you had to wade through piles of excrement to find the golden nuggets. I said more interesting though, not better. If you're not a fan of Eric Bischoff, then this show wouldn't be for you. Let's see what the ratings were this week, because Raw did really poorly for their last Raw before WrestleMania, but they normally do good on the first Raw after WrestleMania. Okay, so wow, as expected, Raw has scored really highly on the first Raw since WrestleMania, getting a 3.7. TNA heavily featured Bischoff and the older guys once again, and guess what? They've got a 0.62. That's disgusting, their worst rating so far. I guess Eric Bischoff isn't the draw they thought he was. Eric Bischoff is driving me to drink throughout these reviews. I just don't see how TNA can recover from this now. It looks like the war may be over. Let me know down below which show you preferred this week, because I'm struggling to decide. Make sure you subscribe and thanks for the support.
You know, dude, it's funny. I thought you would have something else to say this week.
Like what?